This is Christina Barton. You're watching Black Tea News. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barton. Today we're going to be talking about some allegations that came out in the Los Angeles Times from a former Shark Tank contestant. You may remember that episode if you watch the show or like the show. I don't watch it consistently, but I've seen a lot of episodes with the Bubba baby back ribs where they deboned them. They had a patent for their process, how they did it. So they made a deal with Daymond John, and apparently they've said it's basically been a nightmare since then. So the daughter has been making TikToks about it. So my sister had sent me one, I guess, a couple days ago. And I went in my TikToks and I watched it, and it just sent me down a rabbit hole of watching her side of things. And so I watched her TikToks. I read this article from the Los Angeles Times, and I also did go see Daymond's response to it, which Daymond didn't have a big response to it because he says there's a confidentiality agreement, but he says what they're saying isn't true. So I at least wanted to talk about it. And again, this is stuff that they're alleging, though. Her videos, as I will show you one of her videos, and I will show you, I don't have time to show you like her whole kind of saga on here, but I'll show you one of her videos. I'll talk about the article, and I'll also show Daymond John's video, so you can kind of see the sides to this. But I don't know, a lot of people watching this, they're things don't look right. So you guys can be the judge, but we'll be talking about that. Also, the Republicans have reached a deal on the debt ceiling with Biden, which they already passed something, but that wasn't going to get through. Biden wanted just like a clean like debt increase. There's some people who are upset about it, saying that they didn't do enough. I'm reading from other people. It's like, it's kind of like a fine deal for what they can do at the moment, considering that they don't have the control of the Senate and they don't have control of the White House. So there's only so much that you can do at this time. So we'll be talking about that as well. And also, I want to talk about this video, and I'm sorry for continuously always talking about this topic, but I saw this TikTok last night from this he's not an activist, but Kelly is a male who, Kelly is a trans woman, and has been upsetting both sides because Kelly was upset about how the left was reacting to the Covenant shooter and how they're like, respect his pronouns, respect her pronouns and stuff. So he started getting upset with the left, and then now he's upset with the right because the right won't accept him. So there was a lot of bizarre things in the video, but I think the reaction to the video really explains why so many people in our political sphere are pandering and focusing on this particular issue, because there's so many other things to worry about and talk about, but so many people can flip on who they support and don't support because of whether or not you'll respect pronouns and other stuff like that, and how much empathy you have for particular issues and people, etc. Even though your neighbor might be starving and the other party might have a way to help with that, it's like, but no, will you respect my pronouns? So big show today, I guess. We'll definitely make an hour from the stuff I want to talk about. But before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys to go to blackteennews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Please make sure that you guys check out different merch on the store, like the I'm Not the Victim You Looking For. That's an example. You guys really like that shirt. I really like that shirt. I'm glad I got it. So you guys can check out that. You guys can also check out my book, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion, which is available on Amazon, and it's also available on Barnes & Noble. You guys can get that on Kindle, or you guys can get that on Nook. So go ahead and check that out. The art is so wonderful. My baby sister actually did that painting for me. So first she drew it out, and then she took it into like Procreate, and then just went from there. So she did a fabulous job. But it covers theology, it covers philosophy, it covers science and stuff. So it's pretty well versed on this topic. And unfortunately, there's probably a lot of believers who need to read this because they're very confused on the topic. So go ahead and pick up that copy for yourself and pick up one for someone else. Okay. And also, if you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost to stream, cost to run my website, all that good stuff. So if you can support, I very much appreciate it. If you're watching on Facebook, you can do stars. If you're watching on YouTube, you can do super chats. Thank you to everyone watching it live, and thank you to everyone who watches it back later on the replay. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the story with the Shark Tank thing. I do not have a meme for today. I'm sorry, guys. So as I said, my sister sent me this TikTok about this family company that went on Shark Tank, and basically, as most people go on Shark Tank, they think that all their dreams are going to come true because they go on Shark Tank. They trust the people who are there. Funny thing about all this is they really wanted Mark Cuban to offer him a deal, or they wanted Lori, but Lori wasn't in that episode, and Mark Cuban didn't offer a deal. So I think it was Kevin and Damon, and they took Damon's deal. And Damon hadn't had anything in his food profile before. But if you remember this episode, whether you watch it live or in the replay, I've definitely seen this episode. There's an ex-NFL player who has a patented process for deboning ribs. So, and they also have barbecue sauces as well. So Damon offered them a deal, and the deal did change after they aired, which isn't untypical because you go before them, you pitch your story, you pitch your company. They're not looking through documents, etc. And they're just taking your word for stuff. So then they offer you a deal based on your word or what you say. And they go in to start digging about where your finances are, did everything line up, etc. Is going to be more work than what they thought. So then they might alter the deal. That's why a lot of times you might, if I watch a rerun on TV, and I'm immediately looking at the Shark Tank blog update to see if there's how the business is doing, if the deal went through. And a lot of deals, unfortunately, don't end up going through because I don't know, of all kinds of differences that can work out. Maybe the shark asks for more percentage. Maybe they're going to do less money. Whatever. Maybe some people go on the show just for notoriety and don't actually want a deal. So, a lot of the things that happened to this company, a lot can be laid up at their feet because of their naivete, which is one reason the daughter says they were silent about a lot of things because they're just embarrassed, which I can understand because in the comments, a lot of people are like, y'all were naive. And she's like, we were, but that still doesn't mean that something bad isn't going on, or maybe nothing's bad is going on. But this LA Times article about it is pretty fascinating. And her TikTok saga is pretty fascinating. So I will play her video. I will talk about this article a little bit, and I will play Daymond John's response to it. I think it's worth talking about at the very least, so you can be the judge.
Daymond John, since appearing on Shark Tank, has been a nightmare. I haven't even shared a quarter of how we went from this to this. I want to bring you guys up to speed on how we got here. After we taped Shark Tank, but before our episode aired, Daymond John called us and he said that we should set up a website to capture all of the sales that would come in the night that the show aired. He told us he had an internet genius who would be able to set up our site for us. This internet genius, as Damon called him, had also previously been on Shark Tank, and Damon partnered with him. Here's an email from Damon just telling us he wanted us to meet Nate in person. Our first call with Nate was super quick. It was just him saying, he's an expert in websites and he was going to set up our website. He went ahead, he set up our website, he set up a business bank account, he set up all the merchant accounts that the sales from the website would go to. Nate was the only signer on that account. Here's the email from my dad requesting a P&L. This email was in January. We received one P&L from Nate in March. We had some red flags about Nate, like him paying our vendors late on purpose. When we voiced our concerns to Damon about Nate, he would send us emails like this, basically saying that Nate is in your corner and let him do his job. The night the show aired, Nate sent us this email saying every precaution that can be made has been. But Nate never set up sales taxes on the sauces. The day after airing, we had to refund over $30,000 worth of sauces. I was eventually able to access the bank account, and we were able to convince Damon that we no longer wanted to work with Nate. At this time, there was over $100,000 in the business bank account. Nate closed the account and sent us a check for $8,000 with no explanation of where the funds went. I called Damon and told him about it, and he said to his understanding, that's what Nate deserved. My dad asked multiple times for this. Here's a letter from Damon's in-house lawyer saying he's on it and he'll get us a breakdown of the financials, but we can't put the cart before the horse. We never received anything. But apparently Damon was clear on where the funds went. When you read the LA Times article, you'll see that other people shared their negative experiences with Nate Holzapfel. Someone also included that he used to pay them for time working on other Shark Tank companies with the funds from Bubba's Boneless Ribs. Nate is currently out on bail, awaiting trial on 15 felony and 5 misdemeanor criminal charges, including communications fraud, theft, and forcible sexual abuse. In the LA Times article, Damon said, Nate ended up showing a pattern of bad habits and he was not a fit for how we do business. My question is, how many businesses were affected before Damon made that decision? Stay tuned, I have so much more to share.
So that was only like a little teeny piece and just basically the beginning of the crazy stuff that was going on. So Nate having like access and setting up and having the money pour into the bank accounts and them not having access to it is obviously a bad move on their part, a bad move that I don't think they quite learned their lesson from. Unfortunately, but the reaction, how they're describing what happened with Damon is weird. So as the story went on, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And again, this Los Angeles Times article goes through a lot of their account, but you can go on her TikTok and watch the entire saga. But Damon told them to find their own like meat packer and stuff. So they ended up finding one, and they were supposed to have an account where they could look at real time as the money and stuff's coming in, and they were supposed to have access to it and be able to see it. And they ended up intermingling the money of their stuff coming in with the rest of their business. So they have no access to see how the money is coming in for all the stuff that they're making. So they had all these projections about how much they were going to do, and continuously they keep losing money, or they're making very little money and then losing money. And so then eventually they had a deal with Hardee's. And so they're like, oh, this is going to be great. You're going to be making all this money. And I think it was like over $5 million they were getting from Hardee's. And so they thought they're going to make a ton of money from it. And they ended up only making like $5,000 or something ridiculous like that, because of they just don't know where the money is going. And so let me hit a little bit of this article right now at this part and read what happened with the Hardee's deal. Did I say Hardee's? It's Hardee's. I don't know if I said the right thing before, but they barely made any money from this, and this is wild. So just a cautionary tale for people out there who are entrepreneurs, who get involved with anything. Please protect yourself, protect your businesses, and make sure you can look at your money. Please make sure you can look at your money. Big Ribs deal with Carl's Jr. By 2015, Baker put his dispute with Hall's Safa behind him. He had met with Rastelli. Rastelli is the manufacturer who's handling their food and stuff. A family-owned manufacturer in Swedesboro, New Jersey. According to Baker, the Rastellis represented themselves as a $400 million company that had the capacity to produce Bubba's Q boneless ribs at scale. The Bakers said they were impressed with Ray Rastelli III, the company's vice president. The company is now a strong $100 million brand and growing at 100% each year. I think the potential for our rib is even bigger, he wrote in an email reviewed by the Times. The Bakers agreed that Rastelli Foods Group would produce the ribs and sell, distribute, and market them. It would also handle their business accounting. Yeah, another mistake there. In exchange, the Bakers would earn a licensing fee and 45% of the net profits. But again, they can't see the money coming in to verify that they are getting 45% of the net profits. When he briefed John on the new deal, he said John told him that he needed to be connected with Rastelli. Baker, however, wanted to keep each side separate. He would handle the manufacturing and John would continue as a brand ambassador. But in a long email to Baker viewed by the Times, John insisted that he be introduced, and she did end up showing the email in one of her TikToks, so I have seen the email too. I'm beginning to understand how much you do not understand what working with Shark Tank is doing for you and your business, he wrote in May 2015. You are part of the Shark Tank family. You and anybody you have put on camera is now my personal responsibility. I have to report back everything I can to keep Shark Tank producers and ABC up to date. So this is maybe that's correct in his thinking that everyone they deal with now is their responsibility, and someone who's producing the meat and stuff that he'd want to know and make sure is on the up and up. That makes sense. But how much trouble this company is having and his attitude that he's conveying to them, kind of talking down to them too, you would think that he would try to make sure that they can look at their books and this drama wouldn't be exploding, especially if you're thinking about how in the long run it will hurt ABC and how it will hurt the show. So I questioned things there. He added, you will no longer be of interest to the show to promote because there's another season about to shoot and every shark has their top 5 Bubbas of the world they are trying to keep promoting. John said it was important for him to meet the Rastellis to see if I felt they were a fit for the business before doing anything, including putting them on an update of the show. Baker relented. It was like, Al, don't do something to screw this up. This is Daymond John. And he was really trying to get Rastelli. Baker agreed to include John in a 3-way partnership with the manufacturer. They called the new venture FOF Baker LLC. FOF stands for Full of Faith. Baker was a managing partner with 45% stake in the 100% owner of the patents. Rastelli got 35% and John got 20%. Baker said, we were getting 20,000 and 25,000 checks. We thought this was only going to improve, Brittany said. Baker began selling Bubba Q's boneless ribs on QVC, appearing at least once a month. During his segments, he said the product often sold out and sometimes appeared 2 or 3 times on the network. According to the Bakers, Fox was involved in nearly every aspect of the business, such as sending sales projections. In December 2015, Fox, I believe that's Damon's lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, sent the Bakers projections telling them that by March 2016, the company would generate $74,707 a month in profits, according to the document viewed by the Times. All information for the basis of any projections were provided by the Rastellis. John said Rastelli said he could not disclose confidential information about customers. Believing that his American dream was within reach, Baker rented out his house in Ohio, which he sold at a loss, left the restaurant for his children to run, and he and his wife moved to Clearwater Beach, Florida. where they rented a condo and began looking to purchase a multi-million-dollar home. But months after the partnership was formed in October 2015, the Bakers said the payments dwindled considerably. Now Baker said John, Fox, and Rastelli were making all the decisions, excluding him. And they sent a lot of emails back and forth trying to get included and seeing the numbers and other stuff. There's some emails where the Rastellis replying and acting like, of course we would show you the numbers if you just asked. So there was definitely some gaslighting, at least from the things that were presented and I got to see. Baker began asking questions, lots of them starting with, where's the money? The Times viewed copies of several of Baker's emails to both Larry Fox and Rastelli Foods in which he asked for financial transparency, as well as the details and decisions that were made without him. In one email, he wrote, I have some financial concerns and a 14-month period of no profits in the form of disbursements make this something that needs to be discussed in person. When the Bakers brought their concerns to Fox, they said he rebuffed them, asking, why do you want to know all the minutia? Baker said they simply placated him, to telling him about the big potential deals coming and having him appear on various update segments and press events. Fox disputed that the Bakers were kept in the dark about finances. They, according to the emails, they definitely felt like it. Managers like Al have had direct access to accounting and financial information, said Fox in a statement through his representative. Non-managers like us have not. According to John, Baker and Rastelli were responsible for all accounting records and business decisions, adding that Al and his family had more direct access to all accounting information than his company. He said in April 2017, things took a positive turn. Carl Jr.'s and Hardee's, I did say Hardee's, okay, yeah, earlier, I think, launched a limited campaign to sell a baby back rib burger using Bubba Q's deboned ribs at 3,000 franchises nationwide, a deal worth $5.8 million. The Bakers were ecstatic, believing that this was finally going to propel them out of the red and into some serious money. According to Baker, he had met the chain's representatives at a food show in Chicago a year earlier, but Fox and Rastelli handled the negotiations and he was kept out of the discussions. In December 2016, Ray Rastelli III wrote to the Bakers and Fox that the deal should generate minimally about $300,000 in profits for our company, with the potential to be much more, according to the email reviewed by the Times. The Bakers estimated they would earn at least $193,000 from the deal, including licensing revenue. Instead, they collected $2,900 in net profits and a $61,917.45 licensing fee. They said no explanation was given for this discrepancy, and they were told that all parties earned the same amount, which they said conflicted with the split outlined in their agreement. That's when we were like, we don't want to do any more big deals until we can get this straight, Brittany said. So, this is messed up. So, $5.8 million deal. Imagine getting a $5.8 million deal from a big fast food chain, and all you go with is like $3,000. The math ain't mathing somewhere. Rastelli declined to respond to questions about the claimed discrepancy in net profits. When Rastelli proposed another deal with the international sandwich chain, Baker refused to move forward until his questions were answered about Carl's Jr. deal and other accounting issues. And in 2019, Rastelli Foods sued the Bakers in Superior Court of New Jersey. Fox joined the suit on the side of the Rastelli Foods. And the reason why they sued them is because the Bakers didn't want to move forward until they got a hold of the books and could look at everything. And so they don't send the article, but the fast food chain was allegedly Subway. It was Subway to the Bakers. That's what they said. And part of her doesn't even know if they were for real with the deal or whatever, but she said it was Subway. And it didn't end up working out, but they didn't want to move forward with Subway until they got everything situated. And so they took them to court to make them, these are the business owners who own the patent. They took them to court to make them go forward with the deal, I guess. But the deal didn't end up going through. So, this is a crazy story. This is a crazy story. And the Times, they looked at stuff, they reported, they, did their digging. The daughter Brittany showed a lot of receipts on TikTok if you want to follow the story and go look at it on TikTok and see her account of things. But this is messed up, and it should be concerning to anyone who's a business person, who's an entrepreneur, who has a dream of starting a business. And just going to say, make sure you have your money together and make sure that you can see where it's going and you have your eyes on the books. There's so many horror stories beyond this of just like people trusting the wrong people and they're stealing money or taking money. And it could be business. I've heard of like people stealing money out of the church accounts and stuff to do different kind of crazy stuff. You just gotta, there are instances where, we got, we're supposed to sing somewhere or something and someone reneged and didn't, give money. One time I painted a painting of Jesus on a church mural, and the pastor of the church tried to cheat me out of my last couple $100. So me and my eldest sister went into the church and let's just say I got my money. So yeah, don't please learn from other people's mistakes and be careful about what goes on. So there's more that you can read in the article. An interesting thing about the Nick guy, though, that set up the website that she talked about in the original video. He was a former Shark Tank contestant. I believe he was the one who made the belts with no notches. And so he actually had, I don't know how long his association with Daymond John was, but he actually had these different tours that Daymond would have of like, doing business and joining the team and whatnot. And so Nick would be like a host. So one of her TikToks, she talks about how some people feel like they've been cheated, when they go to those particular events. And she asked if anyone else had any sort of experiences with that. Now, I actually did go to one of Daymond John's event things. And so, we were on Facebook and, an ad pops up and it's like, oh, Daymond John will be in your area saying, whatever, and you can have an opportunity to learn about business and, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, that sounds amazing, watching Shark Tank, and he made, FUBU and whatnot. So I told a couple people about it, but I think it was just me and my older sister Katrina who went there to the event, and lo and behold, Daymond wasn't there, and they're kind of like, you guys really thought Daymond would be here? Like, this is why you need us, because you're gullible. Like, that was in the pitch. You gullible suckers thought Daymond would be here. You're crazy. Shame on us. So the speaker there, it wasn't Nick, it was somebody else. But, he gave a, interesting presentation and whatnot. So at the end, they give you a little bit, just enough to be interested, but obviously not anything like groundbreaking, because they want you to pay up and join their program. So we didn't have money. We went kind of to be interested. We were interested in it, aspiring entrepreneurs and whatnot. And this is some years ago. And so as we're leaving, though, like, there are people who like immediately went over there and have their credit cards or whatever out to, do whatever. And there are people who left out because I assume didn't have money, like we didn't have money, or didn't want to invest in that or whatever. And as we were making our way out, the host said, "You will never be successful if you leave." We're just kind of like, what? And we didn't say anything out loud. I think we just kind of looked at like, what the heck? But like, if you walk out that door, you will never like be able to be successful in your business and achieve your dreams and whatnot. And it was I don't know, pretty predatory, I suppose, at that point. So but we left. They didn't get our business that day, but I'm assuming they got a lot of people there, and I don't know how it worked out for everybody. When the Trump University thing came out, and when they first started like airing stuff about it, I looked into it because I'm a huge Apprentice fan. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I looked it up and it was like real estate stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not into real estate, but I just figured it was like, I guess maybe something along the lines of what probably Damon John did, and I was like, oh, this isn't, some people I want to do. So when people were complaining about it so much, it just kind of sounded to me, was like, don't people do this all the time, kind of. um but yeah, that's my little experience going to one of those Damon John things, which I guess I was totally gullible for thinking that he would be there. But let me go ahead and play Damon's rebuttal to a lot of these allegations. Again, he doesn't say much because he says he can't because of confidentiality.
This LA Times article that Al Bubba Baker and Brittany Baker intentionally broke the confidentiality and put out and shopped to this reporter. And at best, it's not true, and that's me being kind. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to always stand up for yourself, no matter what position you get in life, just like I am. Don't sit back and think, oh, the truth is going to set us free because I have the truth, but I'm under confidentiality and I can't put the truth out there in detail. But public opinion also could potentially affect your family, your loved ones, the people that have worked on this project and invested in it. When your family's out there and because of public opinion, these people now, after the LA Times article is out, they're online damn near harassing me at this point and putting up a lot of falsities, and I will not stand for that. I'm always going to stand up for myself. Now, let me tell you about the story. The journalist, I believe the underlying issue here is, did not understand business as well as I think that, or I would have liked her to. So I'm disappointed in the fact that it's a flawed interview, false narratives, but I respect journalists, I respect the LA Times, and I think we definitely need them. But here's the basic way to say it. Shark Tank is like shopping for a house. You see a house, you go check it out, put a bid on it, you do your engineer report, and then you basically go back and put the appropriate bid, adjusting it, right? It's the same thing on the tank. We don't know these people before. We don't have any information. They do the best that they can. They shop a pitch. They don't say what's wrong with anything, of course. And we then evaluate it at the end and come up with an accurate agreement. So here's the deal. You do not buy a house off of a picture, and I don't buy a company off of just a pitch. That is basically it. But I have a confidentiality. I cannot put out all the details to show you how the deal actually went over the last 10 years. But not every partner is going to be great. That's going to happen. How come I haven't had any of these things where you hear me talking about Shark Tank partners in the past that may have stumbled or fall, that didn't do well? Because I don't want to hurt people, because my job is to uplift people. I have been given an amazing opportunity to uplift people. And over my 30 years in business, employing thousands of people, investing in hundreds of companies, coming out with books where it's about empowering yourself. Even my newest one where it's about empowering our children, giving money to struggling black businesses on Black Entrepreneurs Day. I am all about empowerment. I'm not going to allow these people to stain myself as well as the great institution of Shark Tank. Now, by the way, I was fully transparent. This reporter called with 40 different questions, and I answered those 40 questions. Now, I could have just sent a cease and desist and said, stop, you guys are already violating your agreement, but I didn't. I was hoping that the truth would come out. Anyway, always stand up for yourself. Don't try to be the nice guy or the nice girl in the room sitting back thinking the truth will set you free. When people are putting out lies, stand up and defend yourself. I always will defend myself, and always defend yourself. Peace.
Now, he is correct that people are responding, because he definitely turned off the comments to this. And on other videos, people were definitely commenting and calling him a scam artist on all kinds of different things. As far as him being transparent, the article says he was kind of vague. And of course, he has a confidentiality agreement. So he says he was transparent. They're like, he was kind of vague. So I guess it's understandable, but I just kind of want to say full transparency. You couldn't be fully transparent. So I doubt he answered like 40 questions from them. But there was another Shark Tank deal that involved the manufacturers Rastelli's, Three Jerks Jerky, that ended up having some issues as well. And the company is still in business, but I don't believe that the people who actually were on Shark Tank have much to do with it. Let me see if I can find that part where it starts. Because they did do also a deal with Damon in 2015. Then Something friends Jordan Barakos and Dan Folsom appeared on the season 7 of Shark Tank, eager to cut a deal to expand their business. Three Jerks Jerky, the pair had launched the business 2 years earlier with $20,000 on Kickstarter campaign, and they had been selling their gourmet filet mignon beef jerky in 41 stores nationwide. I believe I saw this episode too. They struck a deal with Daymond John, who offered them $100,000 for a 15% stake, with an option to inject another $100,000 for an additional 15%. The thrill of the deal turned to elation when their episode aired on October 2015, and they sold $250,000 worth of jerky. 3 months later, they reported that sales hit 1.4 million. But within 3 years, Three Jerks Jerky was in debt. Barakos and Fulgerson were no longer involved in the business they founded, and their friendship was strained. According to Barakos, soon after the taping their episode, John revised their deal, which is common. Instead of infusing needed capital into the business, John would only commit to open doors in exchange to a 5% royalty based on sales. Shortly after that, Barakos said John pressed the pair into quickly agreeing to a 50-50 partnership split between them and John and Rastelli, dangling the promise of future Shark Tank appearances. In addition to manufacturing the jerky, Rastelli would handle their accounting and would sell them raw meat for their product. It was a very powerful TV show, and we got a lot of visibility and exposure, Barakos said, but my expectations and perceptions of the investment landscape were very different than the reality we experienced. John said the terms of the deal changed, and as a result of due diligence, adding that the equity of dollar amounts cited are not accurate, he declined to provide figures. He said all parties were aware of the roles and responsibilities outlined in their operating agreement, which was reviewed by legal counsel. John denied imposing any deadlines and said he lost money on the deal. Rastelli declined to comment on Three Jerks Jerky, citing their confidentiality agreement. As for Baker, he said he has spent a lot of time reflecting on how things have unfolded. The business, he said, is largely at a standstill. I have reconciled with it, and I don't care what it looks like. Baker said, I care about the truth. And a lot of why I was being quiet was because I look like a stupid fool character. I'm past that, and I'm concerned about other people coming along with their American dream, having this happen to them. And so the daughter said that, they had to end up selling the business, and they still have food trucks from what I saw, or at least she still had a food truck. But it's amazing that they can have those big deals, go on Shark Tank, get all this like fame and notoriety, and still not be making that kind of money. And I know that's the truth, and things happen in business all the time where things fail. But I don't know. To me, it seems weird that the manufacturers clearly still seem involved and interested in their product, and they were even trying to sell their patent to someone else. And they're like, the bakers were like, we have to be on all communication regarding the selling of our patent. And they weren't being forthcoming with that. Now, eventually they're like, well, you guys aren't at the place right now for us to want to do that right now. But that's something that the Rastellis, I guess, eventually want to do in the future. And by the way, the court case that they took the bakers to in New Jersey, which is their backyard, they said that the judge, according to the bakers, the judge was very biased and kept saying that the Rastellis are good people. I don't even know why you're here. And they haven't had a lot of money to get lawyers. So when we did a business panel, I've talked about how we did a business panel, like the Michigan, it was RNC hosted an event for a business panel right before Wakanda Black Panther showed. And so we had a business panel, then we showed the movie, and it was like a bipartisan event. People didn't know that it was a Republican event, and that's how we lured people in. So we were talking about business, and we were also talking about Trump's tax cuts and stuff. The very first thing that the person on the panel was talking about is like, what's the first thing that you need when starting a business? And people start naming things, and he's like, a lawyer. That's right. So you can see why. So again, a lot of this is their account. They do provide a lot of receipts as they talk about this on TikTok. If you want to follow that story and go down that rabbit hole, like I went down that rabbit hole, it was very interesting. You can. Damon says there's a lot of things they can't talk about, and that these things aren't true. So you can be the judge. This feels so bad for this family though, and these young entrepreneurs who come on the show, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and things don't work out. Whether things don't work out because they don't work out, or whether because they're raked through the coals. He seemed like such a nice guy on the show, and I have seen a lot of comments from people that were along the lines of, I can't believe that black people would do this to other black people. And I'm like, people are people. You can't be that naive about skin color. And there are people who go out of their way and support you because they're like, oh, we got to stick together because we're black. Or I can tell you plenty of times, selling something, people will come and be like, I want to support fellow black people, or white people be like, I want to support the black people. And I'm like, I will take your money. Like, honestly, but if that's how you feel, I make a good product. So if that's what pushes me over the edge amongst everyone else, fine. Money is green. Money is green. But if you don't think people won't cut you and take advantage of you because you have the same skin color, people cut each other and backstab each other who are friends and family. So, take whatever you get from the story and just let it be a warning to you. Next thing I want to mention and move on is that there is a deal that appears to be struck. I don't believe anything else has been voted on and signed yet, but McCarthy and Biden did reach a deal. So there's people upset about the deal. National Review talked about it a bit. So I wanted to briefly go through their reporting on the matter, because their thing is there's only so much that you can do with a Democrat president right now and a Democrat Senate, and with Republicans like not really touching particular parts of entitlement which take up a huge amount of our budget and our debt and stuff, then you're not going to really do much if you don't want to touch entitlements and you don't want to touch military. So there's only so much to work with. So again, this is National Review. If you want a better deal on the budget, win more elections. It's not a great deal, but it's an okay deal. Kevin McCarthy and the House Republicans had limited leverage, and there was no way President Biden and Senate Democrats were going to sign onto deep cuts to a non-defense discretionary spending. For those who contend the bill doesn't cut spending enough, recognize that before negotiation began, Republicans took entitlements such as Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, roughly 52% of the entire U.S. federal budget, and veterans benefits, which is 4%, as well as defense spending, 19%, off the table. That only leaves 25% of the federal budget for any cuts, and those cuts were always going to be partially offset by the increase in the defense and veteran spending that Republicans wanted. So, unless people want to go in and dig on those entitlements, which anytime you talk about touching those, people get upset, They see it as an attack on things that they're entitled to, that entitlements, and it makes people feel uncomfortable. People start putting that in ads, and even though one of these days maybe someone will have to be fiscally responsible and say we got to actually talk about these things and make some tough decisions, that person will maybe they won't be in office long, because people don't want that stuff touched, and it's such a powerful tool to use on the campaign trail, and politicians care about money and they care about votes, so if something is going to affect them being reelected, they're not going to touch it too much. And people really want a lot of military spending, well, in a lot of ways, we need it in particular. I saw this one presentation about our Air Force and particular planes and stuff that we are missing, as far as like not, we're just depleted in some areas while we're giving a lot of money and blank checks to other folks. It's alarming. So, it is kind of what it is, I guess, is the point of the article. Under the deal, the fiscal year 2024, which begins October 1st, 2023, and runs to September 30th, 2024, non-defense discretionary federal spending stays flat in the fiscal year 2025. Non-defense discretionary federal spending will increase by 1%. Considering the rate of inflation, these are technically cuts, or at least reductions in the federal government's purchasing power. If the government's budget allocated a federal office $100 this year for staplers, $100 next year, and $101 the next year after that, but the cost of staplers increased in each of those years, so the office will be buying fewer staplers. Added up, and there are no real cuts, in part because the new budget numbers reduce the baseline for future increases. So, you go ahead and read a bit more at the National Review about it, but if you want better deals, as they put it, we got to win more elections. Republicans could have tightened their belts more, though, when Trump was president and we did have control of both houses. You've got to mention that, but whoever gets it next time, and let's say we don't have a divided government, or maybe it's a little divided, but maybe it's better than what it is now. Make better decisions for our economic future, but I don't know how many people have the sort of moral courage to do that. I always knew Trump was going to be a big spender, though. His man has golden toilets. Like, there are lots of reasons, you could consider voting for Trump. I did not think tightening the belt on the budget was going to be one of them. Again, golden toilets. So, there's some newsy news of the day. So, we'll see if all that pans out and goes through. We got to figure out something for our future and ourselves and our kids, though, because we just have too much debt. We really do. Next thing I want to talk about. I saw this crazy video last night, and I'm sorry to keep talking about this topic, but I had to talk about it when I saw it. And so it was late, and I started to record TikToks, but at that point in time, my makeup and things had kind of sweated out, and I'm like, I don't look great right now, so like, let me just wait. And there was so much I wanted to say. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to say this in a minute. This is totally going to be longer than a minute. Should I make multiple videos about this? And so I just decided that I would talk about it today. So I'm going to show this video from Kelly. Kelly is a trans woman, so biologically a male, and identifies as a woman. And Kelly has had the surgery to... Kelly transitioned as a minor. I don't know what age Kelly had his, bottom surgery, but Kelly does have a bottom surgery. So, I'm going to show Kelly's video, and I've got lots to say about it, lots to say about this response. So I will go ahead and play it through its entirety, I believe, and then I will give some backstory to how I'm aware of Kelly and go from there.
Anymore. I feel like
Oh, but before I guess I hit the play button, I just do want to say, and I said this at the top of the hour, this video is an example of one of the reasons why I think this is so pushed on the left politically as an issue, because you are going to see so much emotional attachment to this particular issue when we just got done talking about the debt ceiling and the spending, and they reached a deal, but the point is that people aren't willing to make big cuts, and inflation is bad, and people are struggling putting food on their table, and gas prices are still high. They're not as high as they were, but they're still high, and it's still hurting people's pockets. We worry about military readiness, though we're spending and sending a lot of money to Ukraine and other places. We don't want forever wars. So people are concerned about that. People are concerned about high crime, how awful crime is. I read a story. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I retweeted it, but there was someone who got off easy for a very violent crime, and they went off to murder someone because, shocker, corrupt or soft on crime folks gave him too good of a deal. LAPD arrested a man for stabbing the neck of a construction worker, nearly killing him. Despite a prison recommendation from probation department, LA DA George Gascon's administration agreed to give him a diversion instead. He is now charged with murdering his neighbor last week. People are afraid to live in their communities and their neighborhoods, afraid to travel. You guys know that I write books, and I would travel a lot to different places, and I go with my younger sister, and sometimes when we have conversations about going to different cities now, we're just like, crime is really bad there right now. Because we would never really stay in like the immediate vicinity because it was so expensive of where the, convention center was. And when we went to like BookCon, which is in the Hell's Kitchen, we actually stayed in Jersey, and we would we take the train, and then we would go walk to the convention center, and it was like, oh, everything seems fine, but now I see videos of people being stabbed in broad daylight and all kinds of crazy stuff, and it just, I don't know, makes you double think about life. So there's so many different things going on politically. So that's just kind of my thinking about this video. So just keep all these, there's a lot of real world issues going on, so keep that in mind as you watch this video here.
I don't know where I am politically anymore. I feel like I've mentally been so drained by the right. And it's just so funny to me because I felt like I was so drained from the left, which is what made me go to the right. But honestly, you guys, my opinions have not changed. I mean, I'm open constantly. I feel like people are constantly evolving, and we're constantly having new experiences that allow our opinions to change on things. So I'm not saying I couldn't adjust how I feel about certain topics in the future, but I can't align with a party that's telling me in the future I can't celebrate Mother's Day. I can't align with a party that's telling me I'm going to have to explain to my adoptive child one day the topic of transgenderism. I don't want to do that. I want my kid to grow up not even knowing about what transgenderism even is. I can't support a party that's telling me I'm not allowed to use the women's bathroom, especially as a post-op trans woman. And that is not me saying you have to be post-op to use the bathroom, but I'm just saying, especially as a post-op trans woman, I feel like it's really weird to be forcing someone like me to use the men's bathroom. So when I see, and I understand not everyone on the right feels that way, but when I'm seeing replies on Twitter telling me I should use the men's room, and those replies have like 30, 40 likes on it, what is that supposed to tell me? What am I supposed to take from that? Because that's telling me at least a strong portion of this party wants my life to be at risk, because I'm sorry, me walking into the men's bathroom is going to cause way more issues than it would solve. And lastly, and probably the most important point, I can't support a party who's going to call my gender reassignment surgery an open wound. I'm sorry, even if that's scientifically what it is, when I'm going out of my way to call you guys biological men and women and not use the term cis, the fact that you not only cannot call me a trans woman, you want to call me a trans-identifying male, a Tim, but you also won't even give me the respect of saying I have a canal. No, you have to go out of your way to call it an open wound and make fun of me for having to dilate. That is just such a mean, bully-like mentality. And that's just not my vibe. I'm just not here to support stuff like that. I feel really lost right now, and I don't know what to do. I don't know.
So, background on Kelly here. So, Kelly has, well, a lot of followers on TikTok, and not upwards of like millions and stuff, but it also, pretty decent following on TikTok, on Twitter too. So, but I first saw Kelly in my algorithm, because Kelly was doing a live and was going back and forth with someone. And the portion that I caught, Kelly was talking about how his vajayjay was better than a real woman's vajayjay. So, and I don't know if that's the authentic opinion here of Kelly, or if Kelly was just saying that to burn the person that Kelly was talking to. Sorry, I misgendered Kelly there. The person that he was talking to. But that was my association first with Kelly here. And I was going to do a video lighting Kelly on fire. And I actually like screenshot the TikTok or whatever, because I sometimes, if I can't get in a live or something, I'll just screenshot it and reply or whatever later. But I didn't end up doing it. I didn't have the time. And then not too long after that, Kelly was upset at the left because of the Covenant shooter, and who is a transgender person, who is a woman who identifies as male, and people didn't want to respect the shooter's pronouns. And so there were quite a bit of TikToks. I didn't see a lot, but again, my algorithm's not the same as everyone else's, so maybe there were more than I was aware of, but there were definitely people who were complaining, which isn't surprising because there were articles that were, I don't know, and being too kind to the shooter. But there were TikToks of people saying respect their pronouns even though they're dead. And even though they murdered kids. Right. So Kelly was rightfully flipped out by that and spoke out against that, and then started speaking out against transing the kids. And that even though Kelly was transitioned as a child, Kelly is grateful that Kelly likes the transition and everything that happened on his side of things. But what if people are upset about what happens and doesn't think that other people should go through the same thing? So a lot of people on the left think that Kelly is a pick-me, thinks that Kelly is like just saying things to be picked, is grifting, whatever, is a hypocrite. And so the left was really upset with Kelly. So there's people on the right saying, yeah, Kelly, tell the truth, whatever, blah, 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 and uplifting Kelly. And in the back of my mind, I'm still like, Kelly thinks that his vajayjay is legit and better than the rest of our vajayjays. So I'm like, I don't think Kelly's on the right. Even though ticking off the left. So Kelly started doing like Dylan Mulvaney has 100 Days of Girlhood or whatever. Kelly started doing this is my first day on the right, and would talk about, from the videos I saw, we're talking about things that bothered Kelly about the left so much. And so, like, I don't remember seeing a video about fiscal responsibility, but maybe I missed it. I'll leave that leeway there. I wasn't religiously following Kelly's page. So anyway, Kelly is now upset because folks on the right, particularly I guess on Twitter, because you can be a lot more open about this stuff on Twitter, don't like the things that Kelly is pushing for, like going into female sex segregated spaces, and that we don't accept or believe that his vajayjay is legit, certainly not better than a actual vajayjay, and people are calling it a wound, and which Kelly agreed that even though it was accurate, it's hurtful. And so to recap, Kelly's upset because Kelly doesn't want to be part of a party that says that Kelly can't celebrate Mother's Day, which, who can stop you if you want to do that? I mean, there are women who celebrate Father's Day for themselves because they're single and they don't have a man in their life and they're taking the role themselves. So they celebrate Father's Day as themselves. Now there's people who are like, sis, you doing too much. But if someone wants to celebrate that, who's going to stop you? Right. Kelly doesn't want to be part of a party that says, oh, you got to teach your kid what transgenderism is, or what, let them know that you did it. So that one really baffles me. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to talk about this all in a minute. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to put up a YouTube short or something, but if you have a child that you adopt, right? Because Kelly can't obviously mother a child, and I assume can't father a child because he had the bottom surgery. So you're going to adopt, right? If you can. And you don't want your child to know about transgenderism, but you're transgender. You have the surgery. You are not how as you appeared, how God made you to be. You made some snips here and there. So if you don't think it's appropriate for a child to know about that or to learn about that, then why, trigger warning, why do you think it would be proper for you to adopt then, if you don't think they should know about it? So that's baffling to me. That's baffling to me. So maybe some soul searching right there. I don't know. Next thing Kelly mentioned was the bathrooms. So the bathroom thing is pretty interesting to me, because I'm like, it kind of seems like people who can pass or believe they're passable or whatever still at their core believe that bathrooms should be sex segregated, because if they don't believe that they should be sex segregated, or don't think it's a meaningful distinction when there's a male bathroom and a female bathroom, then we wouldn't be having this argument. They would just go to the men's bathroom if they weren't supposed to be segregated. But the thing is that they believe that they belong in the women's bathroom, and people disagree. I disagree. So I guess it's a question of, and Kelly's had the full surgery, but Kelly also said that you don't have to have the full surgery to go into the bathroom, but Kelly just thinks it's especially weird in Kelly's case if you don't want Kelly in the bathroom. So, because Kelly thinks it's dangerous, particularly if Kelly goes into the male bathroom and it'll cause too many problems. Men have urinals for sure, so Kelly doesn't have, a laser pointer, I guess, anymore. But men poop in the bathroom, right? There's a stall somewhere, right? Men do poop in the bathroom sometimes, right? I don't assume you just go in there and pee. Like, sometimes you can't hold stuff and you go poop. So there are stalls, because you don't do that in a urinal, right? There's that option. So you can do that, but you don't want people gawking, and you don't want weird, I don't know, predators who might do whatever, I guess, in the cases of whatever they feel that is dangerous for them. But whatever reasons that they feel it's dangerous for them to go into the male's bathroom, why can't they see that women kind of have the same concerns about them? So maybe you trust Kelly, maybe you trust Blair, maybe you trust other Ari or other folks who believe they do or don't pass or whatever. But if everybody's not going to feel the same. And at the end of the day, you're still a guy. So either you do believe that it should be segregated, or you don't. Now, a long time ago, not too long ago, actually, no one talked about this like this. This wasn't an obsession. We weren't talking about this. We weren't thinking about this. People would just go in the bathroom if they could pass, and people were none the wiser. Women were none the wiser. They go in and out, quick drive by, boom, boom, boom. And that was that. And you had, who was it, the North Carolina, or was it South Carolina? There was an ordinance and then you had bigger government respond to the ordinance. So there was like the alphabet mafia struck first, saying that people could go to whatever, and then because they did that, there was a response to that and a response to that, and then it became a big thing. Target said that you could go whatever bathroom, and then there's a boycott of Target, and people started boycotting the state and all kinds of different stuff. So it became a big mess. It became a big issue, and it just, from that time, it continues to be a bigger and bigger issue. But here's the deal: if you want to do the drive-by and no one knows that whether or not you're a lady, and you feel that you look it enough that you can go in the bathroom and come out and no one's going to give you any heck. I don't understand. If you want to live your life quietly as a lady, why are you on the internet telling everyone you're a man? Why are you doing that? I only know that you exist as a trans person because you have a platform. So why? Why? Because what you're asking us is to just accept that, yes, some men can come into our bathroom, or just to buy into the fact that you are a woman. And I can't quite get there with you. I just can't do it. And I'm not saying if Kelly walked into the bathroom, I think that maybe I'd be in some kind of serious danger. I don't know. But there's people who I've seen talk about this issue, and like there was someone talking about it, and they're like, you really think that I should go into the men's bathroom? It'll be dangerous for me, etc., blah blah blah. And I looked up the person. I'm like, this person is a porn star. And I'm like, if you ask any woman, hey, do you think a male porn star should be sharing a bathroom with you and your children? I think the answer is going to be no. Naomi has a Twitch. Naomi has a TikTok and Twitter. So Naomi has been in the conservative sphere for a minute. This was not my introduction to Naomi. Naomi is someone who believes that cis women have privilege because no one's trying to take our bathrooms away. And I'm like, you're trying to take our bathrooms away. What are you talking about? But believes that I'm privileged and cisgender women are privileged. If you don't know what cisgender means that you identify with your gender identity is the same as your sex assigned at birth, or whatever, your gender assigned at birth. That's all copacetic and aligned or whatever. So I have an article on my website, blacktnews.com, talking about why I believe cis is a slur, but I'm just, using the language, but I don't really like it. But anyway, Naomi has been in the conservative sphere as of late because there's been articles about Naomi adopting and going on some kind of regimen to be able to produce breast milk. And people are like, whatever the heck that you are doing to your body to pump it with chemicals to be able to do such a thing, it's concerning that you would even think about giving that to a toddler, because women who breastfeed will give up alcohol. They will give up drugs that they are concerned could affect their milk or be passed on to the baby. They will give up caffeine and coffee and other stuff to be able to breastfeed their child so they get proper nutrients. So you pumping yourself full of drugs, some of which aren't even pushed in the US and stuff because of different concerns, and so you can get a few little sips out for your baby. That's disgusting. And I saw some people say, like, Naomi's just trying to care for the baby. And I'm just like, if Naomi cared about the baby, Naomi would let the mother feed the child. So, but there's more. Wait, there's more. Naomi has an OnlyFans and appears to have a little fetish of being a cow here. So, Naomi wants to milk, and even talked about how milk, a cow achievement or something is how Naomi put it, and has an OnlyFans dressing up a cow and talking about cuddly cow. And so this is fetishy, right? This comes off as very fetishy. And I'm sorry if you could have lived your whole life without knowing this information. But Naomi is someone who believes that they should have access to your bathroom, and that we're, I don't know, cisgender privileged brats, I guess, for not wanting Naomi in there with us. Do you want again, um, a male porn star in your bathroom that has a milking fantasy? And you can't vet everyone who goes into the bathroom. I know that, but some of these people making the case of entitlement to the women's bathroom are creepy. Some of them are creepy. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying that Kelly here is a creepy person, but whatever sort, I don't understand why they believe that women are the ones who have to lose on this issue. Whatever concerns they may have about going to the male bathroom, maybe that's all the concerns that we have about you coming into our bathrooms. Okay? And you may think, well, my face looks feminine enough. We look at your shoulders, we look at your hands, and Kelly does have big hands. Like we don't just look, top up, we look, kind of everywhere. Women can be very observant. I'm not super observant, I don't think, but like my sister will be like, they'll have a conversation about a guy and like, what do you think about him? And she'll be like, look at his hands, look at his shoulders. So there's lots of things that women are looking at that maybe you're not even thinking about what women are looking at to kind of make that determination. But again, if you really don't want people to if you want to do a drive-by, go in the bathroom, whatever, and it not to be a big deal and to live your life quietly as a woman, then why are you making like weird stuff on the internet about being a milked cow and living your trans experience and whatever? We only know because you told us. We only know because you told us. Okay? So moving on from the bathroom thing, Kelly can't be part of a party that says that Kelly has a wound and that we won't call Kelly's vajayjay should I call it a faux JJ? I'll just keep calling it vajayjay. Kelly for JJ a canal, but Kelly admits that it's a wound, but doesn't like the honesty and thinks the honesty is a little too mean. So I guess I can get that, but if those are the reasons why you're going to turn from the right and you're just politically homeless now, I'm like, you think these are the issues that make sides in political policy, and these things are in our platforms or whatever? Like, go. First of all, you don't have to be on the right or the left. You don't have to make that decision. You don't have to. There's people who watch me who are, a lot of them are on the right. There's some people who watch me who are on the left, but probably not crazy. There are people in the middle who vote for the best person, who would consider people from either side. It's okay to be independent. It's okay to be a libertarian. That's totally fine. You don't have to be on the right. You don't have to be on the left. There's a lot of people in the middle. There's a lot of people in the middle. But if you're going to decide to be a Republican or a Democrat, what you can do is go read the platforms. Go read the party platforms and start from there. And go see if you actually agree with what's listed on there. And do you care about fiscal responsibility, which Republicans aren't always fiscally responsible, but those are things that people talk about. Or like, there's so many different issues I already talked about. There's crime is crazy. People are concerned about their neighborhoods. People are concerned about sending their kids to school with all the hype about gun crime right now and mass shootings. But at the same time, people are like, if you're not going to prosecute criminals and you're going to like let the guy who stabs a guy out so they can go on and murder their neighbor, why shouldn't I be armed? These are things that people are concerned about. So I can't be on the right because you won't let me in your bathroom. If that's the thing that sways you, so be it. But you got to know, if you wonder why politicians are so gung-ho about culture wars, it's because people are so easy to be moved. They're so easy to be moved off of emotional things like this. I know somebody who became trans, and they were the head of like a Republican club out near maybe the lower middle part of this. I don't remember exactly where it was. It wasn't super close to me. But I had to do a bit of driving. It was at least like 45 minutes to get to the meeting or whatever. And granted, their party was kind of dysfunctional. And it was a young person who they could have been disillusioned by some of the adults or whatever. But as soon as they became trans, their whole philosophy changed on like in the matter of an instant. It was like overnight. All of a sudden, their morals and their values changed. And I don't think it's because they weren't they were lying the entire time about that stuff, but it's probably because they had this crisis of identity, and folks on the right were like, nah, that's not objectively, the objective truth is that you're a dude. And they probably couldn't take it. So they knew that they had to change. So they went to the other side. People know, politicians know that people are so sensitive about this stuff that it can break people to vote and support one party or another. And it's just such a privileged viewpoint of life, I think. It's just a privileged viewpoint of life if that's the thing that's going to move you to the right or the left, especially knowing that what people are saying is still true and you just don't like it. I can understand not liking it, you know? If I got into a room of Republicans and they start trash talking about how fat I was, like, you know, I don't think I maybe care that much, but it is what it is. But let's say it did really bother me. Would I abandon all my Republican principles because the trolls called me roly-poly-oly or something? I don't think so. And, you know, I genuinely think that because I'm not going to go to the whole story, but some of you may know that my sister ran for the Michigan Republican Party chair in 2019. And we were very close to winning, but people did some shady stuff to the end to make sure that we didn't win. And people treated us very badly. And the people who we were running against and their consultants and stuff. I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm just not going to go through the whole story today. And so my parents were mad. My parents were mad. We had to convince my mom to vote in 2020 because she was so mad. And at first she said she wasn't going to vote for nobody but the president. And I think the only reason why she said she was going to vote for the president was because we told her that Trump's campaign manager had endorsed my sister's opponent. It wasn't Trump himself, because I think at first she wasn't going to like vote at all. But that day of the election, after it was all over, the convention was over, we went to Chick-fil-A, which is great. And my dad was just stewing, and he was like, maybe we should switch parties. And I just looked at him dead in his eye. I was like, for what? I'm like, they don't like us over there. And they don't share our values. They totally disagree with what we believe in. I'm like, you'll get over it. And just left it at that. Even though, like, you know, people can suck on both sides of the aisle. You know, people can be mean on both sides of the aisle. People can be insensitive on both sides of the aisle. But what are your actual values? What are your actual values? And maybe you need time to figure that out, and that's fine. But you really don't need to pick a side. But doing this back and forth because of the bathroom, or because we won't see you as a legitimate mother on Mother's Day, that's between you and your child, who you apparently don't want to know that you're trans. Don't you think that's weird? I think I'm done with the rant. I think I'm done with the rant. There's probably so much more I could say, but I think that's the gist of it. So anyway, that's why people focus so much on this culture war stuff. And people do it on the right and the left, but I mean, I think it's important for at least our side of the aisle, because I can see how people use these issues to undermine other stuff, like freedom of speech, when people start going into hate crime territory or whatever. Like Dylan Mulvaney said he wanted to be illegal to call him a man, or thinks to be illegal, all these journalists writing stories and saying that he's a man or whatever, he thinks that should be illegal. If we get hate speech laws like that, you know, in the country, that's not good, obviously. Or on Twitter not too long ago, before Elon Musk bought it, there are definitely things that people tweet now that would have got him kicked off social media. So I do think that people use these people to undermine other liberal, and I'm talking about classical sort of liberal. I don't mean like liberals as in modern liberals. I'm just talking about like liberal sort of liberty-minded values that we have and we're supposed to share and uplift and protect and conserve. I can see them in danger. So as the stuff explodes, that's why I keep mentioning it. But there are so many other things going on in the world, and if where you pee is going to be the thing that makes you vote one way or another, like, I do think that you should, I guess, factor that in if you're concerned for your safety. But sincerely, if you are a trans person and women are uncomfortable, why do you think that women have to lose on the issue? I guess I want to say one more thing, I guess. If you made a decision to transition, that was your decision. It was no one else's. You should bear the burden of that responsibility and the consequences yourself. That is not something that you have a right to force upon society or women. And I said this the other day. It's kind of like, you're a snow globe and you're living in your reality, and your outward appearance is the actual glass, and inside maybe you feel different and you're trapped inside. But the goal, and some people live like that and learn how to cope, but there's other people who feel like they have to trap the entire world within the snow globe. And I don't want to be in your prison. I'm sorry, I don't. And if that upsets you, it just upsets you. And if you can't be on the right, you can't be on the right. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. Please check out different merchandise in the store. That does help to support. So if you see something that you like this is appropriate, so I guess I will show the You Are Not That Special. We got the You Are Not That Special mugs available in the store. We also got them in t-shirts. We also have the anniversary of Roe being overturned is coming up. So we got the Life Wins Roe and Casey aborted t-shirts that are available on the website. Also got the My Money, My Business shirts, the Black Tea mugs, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate. Cost of stream, run my website, all the good stuff. So if you would like to support in that kind of way, you can go to the website. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, there should be links right to the website. So you can go ahead and support if that's what you like to do. If you can't, I understand. But thank you guys for commenting, and thank you guys for watching and streaming and so on. And those who watch it live and comment, those who watch it back later, all that really does help. So thank you guys. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.